who you think you are might actually be wrong. Hello, welcome to this week's Wild Spirits News. My name is Sibylla, and today I'll tell you, you're not who you think you are. First of all, I apologize for the slightly in-your-face title. I mean, after all, who am I to tell you that you don't know who you are, or that who you think you are is actually wrong? The thing is, I do have some grounds for this statement. In my work as a coach, I get to talk to a lot of people. I get to know a lot of people. And there are some misconceptions that are almost universal. You may have heard me speak before about how most people think of themselves as lazy and how that is not true. I'll put a link to that previous video in the description below, and I think there's a card up there somewhere. But yeah, there are some almost universal misconceptions. And yet, there's no such thing as a universal truth, so it might not apply to you. What I suggest, therefore, is you bear with me, you hear me out, and then you judge for yourself. You make your own decision on whether or not the shoe fits. All right? Your mission today is to find out why you might not be who you think you are and how to get to the true you. Task number 1 is, why aren't you who you think you are? We tend to think that we know best who we really are. To a certain extent, that is, of course, true. Nobody else can tell you what you want or what to think, right? And yet there are some things that we might think about ourselves and that we might think is truly us because it feels so right and so familiar. But actually the reason why it feels familiar is that it has been with us for a long time. For example, parts of it might be conditioning from our families, from our schools, from our peers, from, stuff that we had around people and statements and attitudes that we were around or that we were exposed to from early childhood and that we kind of absorbed, and that's why they feel familiar and true, and it feels like it really is us, but it might not be. I mean, some people are deeply traumatized. They are survivors of abuse or of really negative experiences. The trauma is definitely ingrained and feels like this is me now, this is my life now. Ask anyone who's ever been traumatized. That doesn't mean that is the true you. This is what somebody else gave you, even without permission, without asking. But it might not be your true self. And here comes the real cracker. Because of the things that I just said, who you really are, the true, authentic self, might actually feel wrong to you because it's not familiar, unlike the conditioning, the programming, the trauma, and all that. Task number 2 is who you truly are. So how can you tell who you truly are, especially if what I just said is true, that sometimes who we really are actually feels wrong because it's so unfamiliar? There is a process to this, but this is a process that goes far beyond this video. And it takes some time. But I'm going to tell you the basic steps. The first is heal what needs to be healed. That requires knowledge of yourself and some self-exploration, asking yourself some really deep and important questions and really digging into your childhood, into your past. And in the case of trauma, for example, you might be best off talking to a therapist about this. This can be hugely helpful. To this step you must think of as uncovering all the things and pushing aside all the things that you are not. Getting rid of the programming and the conditioning and the trauma and everything that has been piled on top of you that has come to feel like it is part of you, but which is actually not. To uncover this and to gently remove this from your life, so to speak. So that's the first step. The second step is remember your earliest dreams and wishes. Now this is deep, not the wish like you wanted to be a fireman when you grew up. Not that. I mean the deepest dreams and wishes that have been with you for a long time. I'll give you an example. When I was a small child, I had dreams of flying, actual dreams at night, but also at waking. I always wanted to be able to fly, and I always wanted to be free. Freedom and independence. I'm a free spirit, an independent spirit, and this is at the core of my very being. This is very much who I truly am. So do a bit of digging and a bit of exploration. And again, this might take some time. So be gentle and be patient with yourself. You will uncover something in the end. And the third is explore your passions. Well, obviously, I was going to say this because I'm all about passions and purpose. But there is truth to it. Your passions, the thing that lights you up, the thing that gives you joy, this is a very profound emotion. This is usually something that stems from a part of us which is very deep and very authentically us. So this is definitely a part or an expression of who you truly are. So exploring your passions, pursuing your passions, prioritizing them, and just getting familiar with this joy, with this feeling of joy, which to many of us is not very familiar. It's not something that we're used to feeling, at least not on a permanent or semi-permanent basis, right? To lean into this and to get used to this feeling, get familiar with it, might get you in touch with authentic parts of your true self that you might even have forgotten or never even knew about yourself. It's always good to know who you are, because this is what you can base your future life decisions on. It also makes it a lot easier to say no to things that do not align with your authentic self. So like I said, it is a bit of a process, but it's definitely worth the time and the effort. That brings me to task number 3, which is, as usual, let me know. Leave a comment below the video and tell me where you stand on this. Are you already, or have you already uncovered a lot of the things that you're not in order to get to who you really are? Which of these steps that I've mentioned make sense to you? Which might you actually try for yourself? Let me know and I'll reply to every comment, I promise. If you'd like some more, I suggest you consider becoming a part of the Wild Spirits community. You go to wildspiritscoaching.com and fill in that little form there. You'll get 1 email per week. It's 100% spam free. You'll get a lot of additional articles and information and recommendations of books and other resources. And sometimes you get exclusive offers that are only for my subscribers that nobody else ever gets to see. So go to wildspiritscoaching.com and sign up, or you can Google Wild Spirits Coaching. That'll get you to the website as well. Thank you for watching.